let's get started. We have a heck of a webinar for you today. The purpose really is to help you turn open dates into direct bookings. And we're going to share how to do that using Aidaptive and using Yada so that you're not just looking at your calendar, hoping that somebody books. A couple of housekeeping points. The event is being recorded. Put your questions in the Q&A. We will be getting to them. Maybe we'll even put them on the screen and answer them as we go. This should be a fun time. We have Kent dialing in from Myrtle Beach. Welcome, Kent. And yeah, we'd love to hear from everyone else. Where are you calling in from? We're going to introduce ourselves, talk about our companies, how they work together to help you get more direct bookings. We'll even show what they look like, talk about some best practices for getting those repeat bookings, and then we'll answer your questions. I think we can even bring you up on stage if you want to be daring and, go live in the broadcast. So feel free. Braden?
All right. Well, first off, thanks to Steve and the Yada team for helping organize this. My name, as he said, is Braden Flaherty. I'm the hospitality program manager here at Aidaptive. My background is in hospitality. I led product and development for a vacation rental marketing agency for about 10 years, and I've been with Aidaptive for the last 3.5 years or so. So overall, 15 years in the industry. Truly enjoy it, and yeah, passion is helping bring products and services to the market that are uniquely valuable to vacation rental managers.
And you have a van with which you can drive around the country.
Lucky. Yep.
Fun fact. That's the fun fact I'm sharing for Braden. For myself, I've been at Yada since more or less the beginning. Prior to that, I was in other marketing-focused softwares such as HubSpot from the early days, Shopify from the early days. I got to say, I've been pretty good in my selection of places to go and build. I have a coaching business as well, where I work with leaders and executives on growing their business in a sustainable fashion. And yeah, I'm on the socials. So if you want to follow either of those handles there, I share input on all those things: how to do better marketing, how to engage your past guests, and how to do it all in a way that is sustainable and supportive for you, the business owner or STR professional.
Awesome. So the reason Aidaptive was invited to join this call is we are also laser focused on helping our customers better convert, especially on their direct channels. So Aidaptive is a relatively young company. We were founded around 4 years ago. Our founder, Rakesh, came from Google, where he spent 14 years leading the personalization team associated with Google Ads. So that is the largest ad network and therefore personalization network on earth. He left Google to start Aidaptive so that we could bring some of that technology to small to medium-sized businesses, and very early on identified hospitality and specifically vacation rentals as having just a fantastic opportunity for personalization. Customers working in hospitality, especially those of you with maybe a more mature business that's been running for a few years, have a really unique opportunity in that you're sitting on a wealth of data. Every transaction you've ever taken, all of your guest history, can form really valuable training data for us to take that and then turn it into personalization in your marketing channels. And so we'll be talking today a little bit about how we leverage the data that you already have and how you can turn that into more direct bookings.
Absolutely. Mentioning that your founder is from Google has me realize why I felt so connected with you guys when we first met. I was like, we need to do something together, because similarly, we came from a tech background, like I mentioned, HubSpot, ZoomInfo, Shopify, Klaviyo. And then when we started running our own short-term rental properties and businesses, we realized the software stinks. Sorry, if you love your software, but for the most part, like the stuff that's built for the enterprise did not make its way into short-term rentals, like the real killer solutions for growing your business, staying in touch with your past guests. Like every other business markets to their customer base, but for some reason in short-term rentals, we're like, don't do that. You don't have time for that. Focus on your listings instead. And we realized That doesn't make sense. Your property management system is there to help you manage listings, manage properties, manage bookings, and Yada is there for the other half. And we're going to show how Aidaptive and Yada work together to manage that second half of the equation, which is how do you get those bookings? How do you do that marketing to be more effective with your business? Which brings us to one of the core ideas that I want to share. And we have some new folks. Hello, Sherry from Orlando and Rexon from Orange County. I hope it's nice and warm down there. It's freezing up here. We're going to talk about the loyalty loop. This is a central piece of how you grow your business, how you get those repeat bookings. It starts on the outside with marketing. You have to follow up with your past guests. You invite them to stay with you again. You bring them in maybe through an ad network. Once you have that booking, you bring them in. That guest experience is where they realize you really care. You're on top of it. This is an exceptional place to be. That builds that loyalty, and then you can enhance that loyalty through a program, through a product, through points, rewards, perks, and that all together will grow your bottom line and bring you back out to that. It's kind of like a donut, a toroid, right? You go from that coin in the middle back out to the marketing so that you can create that engaging guest experience to bring them back again. Braden, any thoughts on the loyalty loop or how this works?
Well, I think as a lot of property managers know, they're facing significant and rising costs of customer acquisition. And so I think embracing this loyalty loop concept is a good way for them to understand where it's appropriate to invest in that acquisition and then how they can minimize that kind of over time and make sure that if you do acquire a guest via an OTA or via a paid campaign, that you're converting them into a loyal kind of tribe member who's going to come back directly in the future and knows to come straight to you for the best deal. And the benefit to you there, of course, is lower ongoing acquisition costs for your customers if you can nurture them and keep them involved and coming back year after year.
Beautifully said. And Braden mentioned in the chat, share questions at any time. I want to know which of these three parts of the loyalty loop feel most lacking for you? Where could you strengthen it the most? Marketing, guest experience, or loyalty? We'll drop that in the chat. As you're sharing some of those insights, Joey says guest experience. Let's talk about the products and how they work beautifully together.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, Aidaptive uses your data to provide personalization. I want to walk through a little bit more detail on how we do that and the sorts of inputs we're using. And so if you're a property manager, most folks that we work with typically have established their brand. They have a significant reservation history. We work best with customers who typically have 30, 50 properties or more. The details depend on your ADRs and your occupancy and that sort of thing. But the benefit of working with established customers like that is that we can do something like connect to their PMS and get quick insight into every reservation that's ever been taken. We can join that with real-time data coming from your website. We'll connect with your Google Analytics, connect with your CRM, or if you're using a customer data platform or a communication tool like Yada, we unify all those tools into our system. We pull in all of the data from all of those different systems and feed it to a machine learning engine that is designed to make predictions about the future. And so that way, when, say, a new anonymous user comes to your website, a typical guest, they're not logged in, we don't know their identity, based on some key attributes around them. So what's the context? What time of year is it? What is our booking lead time right now? And what properties are available for that likely booking period? And then understanding maybe the pathway and the journey the customer took, rather than come in via the homepage, that might have landed on a blog post, maybe about best beaches in your area or nightlife or something like that, and that tells us a little bit about their intent. And so we can take that and then using that data predict which properties and experiences are the best fit for that guest, and then we can merchandise that. Then we can present throughout the site properties that we know are tailored to what that customer is looking for, their interests and affinities. And by exposing customers to the inventory out of your portfolio that they're going to be most excited to stay in, that's going to lead to more stickiness. They're going to stick around on the site, spend more time browsing your properties, go to more pages and compare more properties, and ultimately grow your booking conversion rate and get more folks through the bottom of the funnel and actually convert it into guests. But the beauty of the system is that it's largely hands-off, that this is all connected to your data sources and your PMS via APIs, so that we're getting that in real time, such that every guest who comes to your site and every click they make is more training to improve the system over time. And then as I mentioned, we use this to merchandise properties. One of our most common products we call predictive recommendations. You can think of these like a replacement for featured properties. And the whole goal here is to ensure, if you have a portfolio of 50, 100, 500 properties, you're asking a lot of that guest to find the right property, and they could be at risk of being exposed to properties that are not a good fit for them and have that reflect negatively on your brand. So when somebody lands on your homepage, we want to make sure that your brand is speaking to them directly, and we can support that by making sure the inventory they see is aligned with their interests. They're seeing properties that are appropriate for their purchasing power. We work with customers with, wide varieties and types of inventory. And we don't want to scare off somebody looking for a more economical stay by just showing our biggest and best homes. And at the same time, we don't want to undersell somebody with something economical or more down market if they are looking for that luxury experience. And so with our data, we can then do that. And we're going to walk through a quick example of an actual customer of ours. We work with the team at Hobbs Realty. They're out on the East Coast. They manage a few hundred homes. They've been in business for decades now. So they have an amazing volume of data. And Rochelle Hobbs, the leader over there, has really embraced us. And so to kind of show the end result of this, we measure all of our impact using Google Analytics. And what we can see here is through an ongoing A/B test that we run through all of our customers, by providing their guest personalization, we've seen an increase in their conversion rate to the tune of, you can see, 15.7%. In the month we're looking here, that equated to 18 net new bookings for them. At the same time, we're also raising the value of every visitor. And this is maybe a new concept for a lot of vacation rental managers and worth just double clicking on for a moment. This metric, revenue per visitor, or in Google, it's labeled ARPU, average revenue per user. It's a measure of how well you monetize your guests. And it's a combination of conversion rate and average order value. And it's essentially the dollar value of each guest who comes through the site. And our goal is to increase that value, whether through greater conversion value or more volume of conversions themselves. And in this example, you can see Aidaptive had produced around $80,000 in lift just by recommending the right properties throughout the site, and that leading to increased conversion. We can also take that further. So Hobbs, as I mentioned, is one of our mature customers. They're also using our predictive search feature. They use one of the more popular agencies out there who's built their website. And this is still their search. So the interface, the look and feel, the availability, and all of that is being managed by their website provider. And Aidaptive plugs in, and what we're doing here is personalizing the search sort order. So again, I put in my dates, I put in that I want to be beachfront. I'm still going to be faced with over 100 properties to choose from. And so what Aidaptive is doing is literally stack ranking the properties from highest likelihood to book to lowest likelihood to book, so that when a user does get into your search, we're reducing that friction, making it easier to find the ideal property, and growing conversion rate as they progress through that search experience, all without requiring a big website change or a big technology project. It's just a simple layer that connects to virtually any website provider in the industry. And a quick look at the results from our search impact on the site. So again, we run an A/B test for everyone. We've got a group that receives personalization. We've got a group that just receives properties in a random order. And then we can compare, when we're sorting it in a personalized manner, how much better performance is. And again, we see a nice double-digit bump to conversion rate, significant lift on revenue per visitor. And in this case, the search feature has contributed another nearly 80K in monthly revenue for this customer. So, and I would say these results are pretty typical for us. They're not exceptional, but a good example of kind of the level of lift that we can provide just by layering this in.
I mean, they may be typical for you, but you don't have to be so modest. That's pretty exceptional.
Yeah, it's I've been blown away by the product. This has been a really fun journey the last few years here. I was aware of these sorts of capabilities. I'd never seen it deployed to small to medium-sized businesses, to the individual property manager. This is technology that you're more likely to see on, a loyalty program like Bonvoy, if you're familiar with Marriott's loyalty, or even going into The more traditional consumer space is logging into your Netflix or looking at your Amazon homepage. The movies that are recommended to you are using a similar technology, and the products you see when you land on the Amazon homepage is also looking at your purchase history, your browsing history, what piques your interest. And so it's becoming more and more of a consumer expectation. So pretty exciting to be able to bring it to businesses where this was really out of reach even 2 years ago.
Yeah, like I said earlier, why wouldn't great software just exist for STR? And so, if Netflix can do it, why can't you? And so now Adaptive makes it possible for you. That's awesome.
Excellent.
Thanks, Braden. Joey's got a nice question. We'll get to that near the end there about the difficulty of implementation. We'll talk about audiences here.
Yeah, I want to talk about audiences a little bit. So this is really where we start to see some synergy between Yada and Adaptive. So all of the products I'd shown before are really top of funnel in that outer layer of the loyalty loop that Steve was talking about, where these might be first-time guests to the site. They could be repeat guests as well, but it's early on in their journey. We're helping them consider and find the right property. But once they've booked, and they're in your database or they've signed up for your newsletter, now we can really start nurturing that customer. And I think one of the problems that Steve and I identified is that many vacation rental managers really undermarket and undercommunicate to their guests. And they do that for a good reason. It's because they're worried about kind of fatiguing their audience. They don't want to spam them every time a property is behind pace. They don't want to just only have their marketing be dominated by like distressed properties or things behind booking pace. And so folks end up maybe under leveraging some of the communication tools out there over fear of kind of scaring off their audience. And so what we can do with our predictive audiences tool is identify the segments of your customer base who are a fit for a given situation. And so when you log into the Adaptive tool, again, we're connected to your CRM, we connected to Yada, we have access to all of your past guest info. And so you can challenge the system with, hey, we're looking a little light on pacing for early in spring break. We're light for a couple weeks in April. Or we've got a tranche of properties that just aren't booking like they used to. Homeowners are getting concerned. They might be thinking about leaving the program. Or maybe you have some new properties that you want to spotlight and give that customer, that new owner, a nice, great first experience now that you've landed them. And so with this, we can identify out of all of your customers who's the fit for that given situation, produce a segment or a list of contacts that communication should go to. And then you can be sending out these promotional emails at a much higher cadence, but because they're only going to the audience that's going to care about it and that's going to respond to it, you're going to see great engagement, great click-through rate, and you're not going to see the downside that could be things like list churn and people unsubscribing or just tuning out your emails, because we're able to cut through the noise by delivering the right message to the right person at the right time. And I think that really aligns well with Yada's goal as well, to where we can enable you to leverage their tool more often without folks churning from that. At the same time, when we deliver those messages, just like when somebody comes to your website and we want that to reflect their personal interest, we can do that with your emails as well. And so when you send out an email newsletter today, you're very likely spotlighting and featuring a couple properties in there. And oftentimes the homeowners who were not featured are going to pick up the phone and wonder why they weren't included. And the other downside there is all of those guests, all that guest attention is being concentrated on a very small percentage of your inventory. Great for those 3 homeowners, but tough for everyone else. And so with our email recommendations, we can actually put dynamic property recommendations within your email content. So you send out your single campaign, your newsletter to your entire list, but each individual recipient will see the top properties that they're going to be interested in. So everybody's getting a slightly different version of that email with the inventory that's the fit for them, again, to drive more clicks, drive more engagement, and help push more people to the site and ultimately earn you more revenue.
I mean, that is brilliant stuff, man. That is so fun. Fun for us marketers and business nerds. It's not like fun for kids, but I think it's fun. Thanks for walking us through that, Braden. We got some good questions that we can touch on there in the afterwards. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Yada, and I'm going to start with a funny image. We're going to take a moment to think about something. And that is, how is your STR marketing? Is it like this leaky, unused bucket? Because for a lot of property managers and owners, it is. They might have a tool, maybe they set it up, they got excited about it, and then it just sits there. Maybe they have kind of a post-booking flow, but they do not communicate with their past guests. We were at a dinner recently with one of our top customers, and she was talking to someone who was there, and they were asking all these questions, and she just goes, "Are you sending texts to your past guests?" And he was like, no. So how is your STR? Are you doing things? As Braden said, there's all kinds of reasons not to. You're busy, it's the high season, it's the low season, the staff is short, you got to hire. There's always a reason not to do marketing. But if your marketing is like this bucket, either losing contacts because it's not good quality, or just sitting there because you don't have someone to carry the water to where it needs to go, that's why you need Yada. That's why we exist. You can use other tools, but we are here to help you move the water to where it needs to go so you can make more money. Here's a customer story. To give you a little context, when you work with Yada, we do a monthly campaign for you via SMS and via email. If you're also an adaptive customer, then we will pull in that personalization information from your well of data to keep the water metaphor going, so that those messages are personal, not just personalized with the person's name. Of course, we're going to do that, but like personal for who they are and what their interest is. That's a whole nother level. We work with Home Team Vacation Rentals who generated $34,000 in direct bookings from a single campaign. And Yada is set up so that when you send out an SMS, the response we're looking for is not, hey, click this link and, hopefully you don't think it's going to try to take over your operating system or something. The response we're looking for is just, yes, I'm interested. When people respond with, yes, I'm interested, it creates an opportunity. So that's what you're looking at here in Yada. We have the open opportunities. And in this case, we've got 85, so that could be a little overwhelming depending on the size of your staff. So when someone replies yes, we send back an automated message, and this one includes the link to your direct booking site. It can either include a single link to, let's say the Florida properties, or maybe the 3 that you want to focus on. But there's an auto message, so everyone gets something in response. But and I'll get to this in just a moment, this enables you to actually work with your past customers, work with your past guests as though you were a sales team, as though you were actually in the business of cultivating future opportunities, cultivating future stays from your past stays. And so what smart operators do is they take this data and either they themselves or they pass it along to their guest services team, or they have somebody who's ready to reach out to those folks personally. Maybe we'll send a follow-up email campaign to the folks that replied yes. But if you have the bandwidth to get on the phone and connect with that person, you're creating a real relationship. And that ultimately is what hospitality is about. And that's what's at the center of that loyalty loop is, if you think about the brands that you love, that you're loyal to, there's some kind of a personal connection because you feel like they see you, they get you, they understand you. Maybe you even know somebody there because you've been with them for long enough. There's a personal connection. And that's what Yada enables by saying, of all the thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands of people who have stayed with you in the past, these are the ones that have raised their hand and could become your biggest future source of repeat bookings and also word of mouth referrals. Within Yada, you can create individualized segments, send specific messages to those segments. You're going to see how many clicks go to your website, what the revenue impact of that is, because we're connected to your PMS. So any bookings that come in, we're able to confirm that they came from a past marketing campaign and show you all of those details. And I mentioned some of this before, but when somebody says that middle one there, yes, of course you want to send back, hey, here are some things to check out. But also this is your chance to go that extra mile. Maybe you create a video and send that along to them so they can put a face to the name. There's all kinds of Instagram influencers who will say, when someone expresses interest in your place, just get on the phone, send them a video and say, hey, it's me, looking forward to seeing you, hope you decide to book with us. Anything to create that extra bit of connection is how you actually move the water from the well to where it needs to go. That's how you do marketing, is start putting things in motion, start testing things out, seeing what will work, for your past guests, because I can guarantee you doing nothing won't work. Marketing needs to be done. I was talking to one of my mentors just a week ago, and she kind of stopped me in my tracks. She goes, "Marketing is boring." It's like, "Oh, Gene, say more about that. What do you mean?" She was one of the leaders at HubSpot. And she said, "Marketing is important. It's just rinse and repeat. You shouldn't be out there doing backflips. You shouldn't be, climbing the Taipei 101 to try to get likes and views. You're not Alex Honnold. Just talk to people about your thing and do it and keep doing it, because they're going to forget that you exist." So that's my appeal to you, is do marketing, make it boring, and you will start to see the results.
I think what this group really benefits from is they almost always have a product that people enthusiastically love. You're representing kind of a gateway to an experience that people can't get at home. And so hopefully you don't see it as too boring. I think, and I think the other piece there is, as hospitality providers, we're already familiar with, a big goal of a great guest experience is making somebody feel part of the community and connecting them to your destination. And I think what's hard historically is doing that at scale in your marketing. And with tools like Yada and tools like Aidaptive, you can take that personalized experience that you give people when they're on property and expand that to your marketing and extend your brand that way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for reminding us that, in fact, the product that we have is extraordinary. That's why people paid you in the first place. That's why they came to stay with you. So lean into that and don't be afraid to market it strong. I also want to share, before we transition to Q&A, the new Yada loyalty product. And what you're looking at here is the Yada guest book. And so this is where people can share their details in exchange for the Wi-Fi info to get online. They can share the guidebook with other members of their party, so you can get not just the person who booked with you's contact information, but start building that email database of people who have stayed with you. But when you're using Yada loyalty, you can actually log in to the guest portal. And this is where you can manage the conversations. So this pulls in the property management system inbox. It pulls in our integration with OpenPhone, now Quo. All the conversations are happening there in line. But you also have the rewards points that someone has earned with you in the past. And they can take a look at experiences to enhance their stay. And you might think, "Oh, we're just upselling people." You're actually guiding them towards a great experience with you, right? You're helping them pick out, "Hey, what should I do here? We're going. We might just be sitting there being bored, or maybe we're just going to sit on the beach. But also, if we were to do some things, tell me some things to do." So this guest portal includes recommendations, ways to take those rewards that they earned from booking with you, and get more points from things like sharing the guidebook, leaving a positive review. Kind of gamifies those best things that you want a guest to do, so that they can earn more points and then redeem those for things such as the early check-in or late checkout, dollars off your next booking. And if you think about your own experience with rewards points, when you get an email saying you have 1,500 points that are about to expire, that has a different feel than get 10% off your next stay, right? There's a loss aversion. That not that we're playing on people's emotions, but like sometimes you got to get people over that hump, right? You got to break through the inertia that is like, "Oh, I'm just kind of busy. So rewards and loyalty are a powerful tool to help you do that. And we're really psyched to be able to offer that.
I love that, bringing some urgency, because I think a lot of property managers are seeing lead time shortening over these last couple of years. We're seeing guests demand a lot more flexibility and kind of holding on to making a commitment for longer than they had in the past. So yeah, anything you can do to drive some urgency to help get them over that hump and help them make the commitment to stay with you is going to be well rewarded.
Beautiful. All right, so Braden, we've got some questions. If anyone had any ideas, anything they want to share or ask about, feel free to drop it there in the chat on the side. Joey S, whoever that might be, is wondering how hard it is to implement Adaptive.
Yeah, Joey, great question. I think a lot of customers are fatigued by technology projects, especially if you've gone through like a PMS migration or built a new direct booking website recently. This is not that. We want to make things pretty easy. So we have connections and relationships with all of the established property management softwares in the space, as well as relationships with almost all of the web providers. And so typically going live with Adaptive will involve maybe an hour or two of getting us the data we need to begin providing the insights I talked about earlier. And then going live is as simple as a support request to your web company, where we'll arm them with a couple snippets of code. They'll copy and paste that into your site, and we're off and running.
Sweet. And Kumar asks a great question. At what level does Adaptive really start to hone? Like, can you do it with 2 or 3 properties? Can you do it with 1, or do you need dozens?
Yeah, this is a fun one because this has evolved a lot. When I first started at Adaptive a couple years ago, we were really only working with kind of enterprise level property managers. Folks with 500, even 1,000 properties was our bread and butter. But the beauty of technology is that it can improve quickly, especially if you're following the news around AI and machine learning. There's been massive advancements in the modeling and the tooling we use. And so we have been able to bring down kind of our threshold for customers where we're confident we're going to be able to help. I will say it is still designed for the professional manager with a portfolio of properties. Typically, our customers have 50 properties or more, sometimes less than that if they're particularly high end or high ADR. But even that's changing. And so I think for the individual property manager, for maybe the homeowner representing their own property or something like that, we do have some tools coming really soon. So in addition to audiences, which we shared earlier, that could be a great fit for the smaller property manager, targeting those guests for the gaps you have in your calendar. We're also releasing a new chatbot that will essentially function as an in-house analyst for your data. So be able to understand any trends that we're seeing in your booking, any trends that we're seeing in guest experience, review scores, things like that. And so, while our products today are really designed for the mid-size or larger professional manager, we do have some exciting things coming that are geared for anyone merchandising a property online, even down to the individual home. So we're staying in touch on that.
Yeah, the democratization of software. I love it. It's at Shopify, we were always talking about bending the learning curve for entrepreneurship, making entrepreneurship more accessible for people. And it sounds like we're on the mission to do the same thing for short-term rentals, right? It's like give these powerful tools to even the individual with a single property to make them more powerful, more successful. Beautiful. You see those big QR codes? We got some great offers behind there. If you want someone at Adaptive to take a look at your website and offer some thoughts, give it a full audit, scan the one on the right. If you want someone at Yada to take a look at your loyalty and marketing programs and offer ways to improve it, next steps that you can take, whether using Yada or something else, scan the one on the left. May as well just scan them both, folks. These are some amazing products that can help your business grow. Let us know if you have any other questions over there in the comments. We'd be happy to answer them. I do just want to speak to the question of scale as well, because the most successful folks on Yada do tend to be the ones with the high average daily rate and dozens, if not hundreds of properties. And so that can make someone who's smaller think, oh, I shouldn't bother because I only have a list of 300, 500, I only have 2 listings. We have someone with 2 listings who has seen great success in terms of he's already 40% ahead of last year with his direct bookings, and it's because he's in touch with his guests. Right? He says he did a winter campaign. This is Brett from Henry House, actually right down the street from me here in Southern Ontario. And he said he did a campaign for gift cards around Christmas time, and that nobody bought a gift card from the thing, but he had lots of conversations with people who said, thanks for reaching out. I'm going to make sure that I book my time. And he's basically in the process of creating those relationships. And he said that by offering gift cards and letting people know that he has them, he's able to build his own brand and his own credibility, driving more people to that direct booking site so that they know this is a trustworthy person. I don't have to go through the OTA next time that I want to stay there. And that's going to grow his bottom line by building those relationships. So if there's nothing else, we can wrap it up. Go ahead and scan those QR codes. We would love to follow up with you if you want to talk about marketing, if you want to talk about your direct booking website, and hopefully get the two working together, because the potential for taking all of that learning that is happening in the Aidaptive engine and putting it into your actual marketing messages with Yada via email, via SMS, is absolutely huge and very exciting.
Love it. Yeah, appreciate the opportunity to present with you today, Steve. I think hopefully everybody has seen that the opportunity they have by fixing that leaky bucket, whether that's leaking through a low conversion rate on your site or under leveraging the relationships you've built with your past guests. There's some real tangible things people can do to reduce their customer acquisition costs and just help their marketing spend go a little bit further.
Right on. Thanks, everybody. We will be in touch, and take care.
Thanks all.